Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are here with the Spartan Life Coaches. We have Steve joining us. Say hello, Steve.
Hello, Steve.
And we have Terry with us as well. Say hello, Terry.
Hello. You
Hello.
expected me to say Terry then, didn't you?
Hello, Terry.
Hiya, Steve. Hiya.
It's lovely the way they talk to each other. Almost like real people.
You'd think we liked each other.
Yeah, you'd think.
I
So
know.
today we're going to be talking briefly about the Break the Trauma Bond course. Now that's only been running for a couple of months. It's not been running as long as the CPTSD course. How have you found this with clients? Have clients been enjoying it?
Enjoying is an interesting word, isn't it? Enjoying.
Perhaps that was a poor choice of words. Enjoy is a bit tough.
You know what you mean. I think
Find it effective.
very effective. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every client's different, and so people get different things out of it. But on a general level, yeah, it is working for people. And of course, as you say, we've only been running it live for just over about 2 months or something. So we've become a bit more proficient, I guess, at managing it, handling it, and all the rest of it. And so that's what's really good is once you've run it and people are starting to give you some feedback on it and make adjustments, it's just like it's wearing it's like putting a glove on, isn't it? It starts to feel more comfortable after time. But generally effective. In fact, I don't think there's anybody who's ever been disappointed at all. As I say, various levels of success, but good. Yeah, it's been good. What do you think, Terry? I think you've got the same.
Well, yeah, on the whole, everyone's been, lots of really good feedback. No one's been disappointed, certainly.
Yeah.
No one said, no, it doesn't work for me at all.
Exactly.
Everybody got some level of result from it.
Yeah.
Most to see a really good result. It's feeling. It's about feeling different about the person, and that's what they say. I just feel different now.
So one of the things that I was going to raise with you guys is I've seen in various places online, I've seen in YouTube comments and on different internet blogs, is people saying that it's actually impossible to break the trauma bond. Now, you guys don't just have a theoretical framework for doing it. You've both done it with 20 or 30 people each. What do you think of a statement like it's impossible to break the trauma bond?
It may be impossible for them. Depends on what.
Fruity. Just because you suck doesn't mean we can't do our jobs.
You get my drift.
Sound about trauma bond breaking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we dissolve them.
Yeah, do you know what? I sort of. I get it a bit where people might be coming from because let's face it, is anything 100% effective all the time? Probably, no. And so maybe something like dissolve. Maybe there might be a time in 100 years' time when we've got to the stage of technology like, what was it, Matrix, or what was the one, Total Recall, where we can plug people in and remap and rechange. And in those times, if that ever happens, hopefully never, then we will be able to erase all memories of things we didn't like that happened to us. But we haven't got that. So
that's a key point, that.
Erasing the memories?
People come in, a lot of people come in and think, I want to forget about it, I don't want to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Or same with the internal dialogue, I don't want the internal dialogue anymore. Now, you can't say that.
No.
What does happen is, it's not about breaking the, but it's changing the emotional intensity.
Absolutely.
The memory toward the internal dialogue.
I get it completely.
The proof of the pudding. That's what happens.
I mean, we've been saying, the clients we've had so far have all reached a really good level of effectiveness in terms of breaking or dissolving or diminishing that bond. And I think what my thought process while I'm talking to people is, they come on because there's residual thoughts about the person and the relationship that are getting in the way of them living their life. And that's what we've got to shift out the way. Will we ever erase all memories of that relationship? No. But the memory can come back and be quite neutral. maybe even quite happy. But it's exactly what Terry's just said. It's really removing the emotional load and the impact that it's having on everyday life, so that it becomes, you know what, every now and again, we all remember things from many, many years ago, which were good or bad, or, you know, probably embarrassing or something. Oh my God, memories are memories, but it's what they do to you and how persistent and damaging they are in the moment. I think that's what we're doing. So that person who said on some forum about it's impossible to break the trauma bond, yeah, well, let's talk about dissolving it, as Terry said, or diminishing it, or leaving it as an ordinary neutral memory. And it's not affecting your day-to-day life. You can pick up and move forward.
And of course, we don't know what this person means when they say trauma bond, and what they is this a therapist saying this? Is this a change agent saying this, or is this someone who's trauma bonded? For want of a better expression.
Well, this is the wonderful thing about the internet, isn't it? Is people can just start talking and state beliefs and opinions, and you have no qualifying means of knowing who you're talking to or what's going on. The good situation that I like here is that I'm allowed, by having you guys do the actual work with clients, I'm allowed to spend more time in the theory side of it, which I enjoy. And the theory I came to with this is there actually isn't a trauma bond. That's a story that we're telling ourselves. Right. And actually, what happens, we get trapped inside of a story.
Yes.
So, you know, is it impossible to break the trauma bond? I mean, it's impossible to break a story if you believe it's impossible to break the story.
That's really good, mate. So, that's really good.
Yeah. So a lot of our oldest, you know, narratives and fairy tales have this element of binding in them. So you're bound by the story, which is why the exercises focus on things like retelling the story and renaming it, finding a new way of defining it, because really it is just about removing the emotional load. It can't be anything else, can it?
Absolutely.
In a way, it's almost like it becomes almost like a cliche. You know, like for instance, I'm trauma bonded, or trauma bonding is like it's a generalization, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it becomes like a cliche. For instance, you know, what's in the one that always makes me laugh is what's in the cats in the kittens. You know, it's an old, you know, meaning, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You know, the parents, what's in the parents is in the children.
Okay.
You know, I've heard that many times from clients. You know, over the years, not just in this, but you know, so and it becomes a belief. You know, and it becomes a cliche, and you stop questioning it. Right? So when you start, does this make sense? I try not to say that.
Have you got an example? I've got an example, Terry.
Yes.
Does it involve Buddhist monks? Because otherwise I'm not going to listen.
Well, this Buddhist monk said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know.
He was a wise man. I've never heard the expression "what's in the cats is in the kittens." Is that like a piece of wisdom from Bootle?
Well, actually, a couple of it's a Liverpool saying, actually, as far as I know.
Is it really?
No.
Yeah.
No,
what's in the cats is in the kittens. Is that? Have I ever been wrong?
You're thinking of pots and pans, I think. Is that it? No.
Nothing to do with kitchens.
If ifs and ands were pots and pans. No, not that one.
No.
Anyway,
should we crack on?
Descending through an ever-repeating series of pattern interrupts and opening loops into oblivion. It's like the levels of Inception. I mean, one of the things, like when you mentioned before, Steve, about the Matrix, there isn't really a purpose of the course to eradicate memory.
No,
but it does seem to have that effect, and to the extent that it seems to. Because you're deloading the emotion of the memory, you're not playing it as often, and then there seems, I found, because I was my first test subject, that I just couldn't recall things as much, and my brain didn't want to go there.
You know, that's an interesting, dead quick, isn't it? We all use this. We slip. I mean, it's words. You know, this is our day job, isn't it? Knowing what words do. But we're talking about memory. When you consider there's at least two things, and I'm not being like neuroscience. Memory and recall, two different things. Your memory is the database, the filing system where all the information is. The recall is the process that fetches it So really, I guess if we're getting maybe a little bit too pedantic here, but what we're possibly dealing with is the recall side of it more, because as it recalls it, it doesn't just recall a book off the shelf. It brings in everything else. It brings all the emotions that were going on at the time, the records that were playing, all that. That's what the memory is, isn't it? When you recall from memory, you don't pull a file off like a photocopy. You reconfigure all the associations. And I think that's, so really, maybe it's time to leave it right now. I think that's what we're doing really, is we're adapting the recall. So yeah, I got a memory, but there was nothing else came. There was none of that really crappy feeling that I used to get. And it doesn't stay in my head for the next 5 hours, so I can't do my job properly. So maybe it's the recall we're playing with.
Well, every time you do recall it, every time you do recall a memory, it changes slightly anyway. You know that as a fact from neuroscience. And that memory in itself is made up of, if you have a particular traumatic memory of a particular person, connected to a particular person, but if it's particularly emotionally strong, it's an amalgamation of other traumatic events from that person as well.
Yeah. Or those kittens, in fact, really.
The kittens, yeah. Well,
I personally found that traumatic. I was traumatized by the cats and the kittens phrase that doesn't exist.
Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Here's the point. Here's the point.
Let's do a whole lot of...
Example, right? When this person said, "Oh, what's in the cats and the kittens?" what she was basically saying is, because my mum was this way, I can't change.
That's his story,
And that was the thing. So once we realised, well, that's not necessarily true. You believe that cliche, it binds you to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, but that's it.
Turn back to the process.
Stories are at the core of all of this, aren't they? The stories that we tell ourselves and the beliefs that bind those stories together. That's really at the core of all of this. So
yeah.
Well, when we were saying before about the stories and the words we're using to describe experience, the thing with the trauma bonding, as Terry says, is a cliche. Oh, I'm trauma bonded to this person.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we diminish things and we have like a little bit of jargon for it, it helps. It helps us to feel understood and we understand other people immediately. But then it becomes a bind. And actually people would be better saying, I remember my ex unpleasantly in a way that's intrusive and that affects my mood on a daily basis.
100%.
That's what I was thinking of when you said about the recall versus the memory. The memory, I'll leave the memory alone. Memory's got nothing to do with me. And I want the client to keep their memories because that's their personality.
Yeah.
But this obsessive, compulsive, masochistic recall all the time that we do post a traumatic relationship, that's really what we're looking at, and recasting that in a new light so that the unconscious can go, oh, we don't need to keep telling this story over and over again. Oh, okay, I'll put it down in that case.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
In essence, we're changing how they represent the memory to themselves.
Yeah.
We call that recall. We use the word recall for that, Tez.
No, it's different. It's different. Don't you be at it.
We'll start with the kittens again, Steve. Honestly, it's coming. I
know.
When 3 honey badgers gather at night. Listen, now the one thing that I wanted to ask you both is for people who are watching this. Obviously, we are generous gentlemen and we like helping people out. Is there anything that you could offer? Like somebody watching this right now, they found this because they wanted a video about clearing a trauma bond. Is there anything you could offer them that they could do right now that would let them start to work on clearing the trauma bond?
What, you mean apart from calling Terry right away and getting some good coaching off him? And
that's actually, thank you for saying that, Stephen. Call Terry right away and get some coaching and he will clear it all.
Absolutely.
Was that your Paul McKenna?
Did you like it?
Impression.
Yeah.
It was it was spookily close, actually.
Yeah. I've been practicing doing Paul McKenna for years. I've been practicing doing Paul McKenna for years. Whoa.
Oh dear.
Hang on, Freud.
Now there's a trauma.
It will be for him if I get hold of him.
But you make you happy.
Yes. And as you relax, Paul, and allow whatever is happening to you to happen now. So anyway, is there? I'm going to cut this bit. Is there anything we can offer people that they could start doing right now?
You lead off, Terence, because I love your wisdom. Mate, go for it. I'll get me pen.
I'm getting. You know what? I'm
going to write this down because this will be good.
I'm getting. You know what? I hope this isn't fucking going out.
Oh, dear.
You know, I'm feeling a little bit, picked on here. You know.
'Twas ever thus, Terence.
What?
'Twas ever thus.
Oh, okay, yeah. Don't get smart with me.
You're one of life's picket honours, mate. That's it. Live with it. Suck it up.
Fucking hell, I'm I'm
going to say to Paul.
Anyway, as ready, stay, go. Terry said.
I'm not doing it until you apologise.
I apologise, Terry.
All right. And you, Richard. And you.
I apologise to Richard as well.
I forgive you, Steve.
Thank you.
I'm really sorry, Terry.
Yeah, so sorry.
It's all right. It's all in the past now.
Yeah.
I'm changing the structure of the memory.
Yeah.
I refuse to recall it ever again.
We're waiting for you, Terry, to tell us this giveaway. Come on.
This is a really, really useful one that we sort of just came to me while I was talking to a client. It seemed to work, so I've given it to a number of clients now, and the general feedback has been really, really positive and really, really useful for them, right? It's called the red flag exercise, right? So we get a piece of A4, and put it, and then draw the lines down the middle. And on the left-hand side, I want you to think of the relationship that you were trauma bonded to, the relationship with the person that you moved away from. And I want you to write down if you could time travel, go back in time to that relationship, to when it first started. Write down every single red flag that you'd notice. So as you think of the relationship in the past, you go, well, now I'd see that as a red flag. Now I'd see that as a red flag. Or I'd watch it, I'd be careful with that. Yeah. And then on the right hand side, going into the future, when you go into a relationship in the future, what red flags would you be looking for in a relationship in the future? And write those down. What tends to happen, most of the time people say, well, they're going to be the same. And I say very rarely, they've never been the same. There's always been more in the future, different ones in the future. Mm-hmm. Why? I would hazard, well, obviously they're different now. This would usually come round about session 2 or 3. Right? But also what they are doing as well is, it's not just a cognitive exercise. They're actually starting to set boundaries.
Mm. Yeah.
They're actually, and learning for the first time.
Yeah.
Or taking the first steps into trusting themselves.
Yeah.
Because again, I think one of the very first time I brought this into play was someone saying, I'm not too sure I'll be able to trust myself in the future. We're going to a relationship. How would I know I'm going to make the right choices? But they'd never given it thought what they would do. It was just, I'll never be able to do it. So when they did it as an exercise, it's a first step into setting boundaries up and learning to trust themselves.
I can see, you know what, that resonates with me, because I'm sure we've had the same experience with clients that they all see, they all know there were red flags. And they often will say, won't they, well, looking back, there was that time and I did feel it was a bit odd, but I thought, well, let's just, and now, of course, because the relationship is over and they're looking to get to a better place, they can recall those red flags. And so it is about, and trusting those red, because the other thing about writing them down is we might think they come on the program, we open up all this stuff, we move them to a better place, so they're never going to make those mistakes again. But we're humans, aren't we? We do make the mistakes again.
Yeah.
If you're almost getting them, we haven't talked about this one before, but you're almost like, in my head, getting them to do a contract. So you know what? Yeah. It's like, I knew those things were going on in the past, and I put them, I denied them. And I know these things could happen again in the future, but it's like I've written them down now. It's a contract, so I've got to pay attention to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm glad that it makes sense.
I'm glad it makes sense.
And it's something else that you've just reminded me, actually. Another key point is a lot of people who've been through this tend to, well, in the past, they've ignored their intuition.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's my point.
Their gut instinct,
yeah.
right? So, because being asked this a couple of times, what any good advice for going forward? If there was one thing,
yeah.
And I've said, trust you, learn to get back in touch with your intuition.
Yeah.
And trust it.
Yeah.
Because I know I have, and I'm sure you have as well. There's been times in the past where my intuition has said, where I've done, something, and it says, no.
We don't pay enough attention. We're good at, because we think we're all clever, sophisticated human beings with a big thinking brain. We think intuition's just a stupid feeling. But did we talk about this dead quick? I don't know if we talked about this. I was reading an article recently, some months ago, about American Navy SEALs. And they actually invest time in their training in getting good at listening to their intuition. I mean, it's weird, this. Did we talk about this? Yeah.
There's actually a neural network that, according to Daniel Siegel, Dr. Daniel Siegel, right?
Yeah.
He believes there's a neural network that's through the brain, to the heart, to the stomach.
Yeah. When you think
the longest neural network.
When you think about it, we've survived as a species for a long time. Yeah. We must have picked up some little tricks along the way.
Yeah.
And we now know about things like, the reptilian brain and the trauma responses and all that thing that happens without conscious thought. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn happen without conscious thought, because they keep us alive. Because that's what, all this thinking stuff's relatively new, isn't it? But we think it's the best. I've got a funny feeling, but I'll be okay. So it goes back to your point about getting people to recognize the red flags which were coming from their intuition and trust them going forward. There's a bit. I mean, I don't use that exercise, but I certainly use that philosophy a lot. I think going through. Yeah, trust your bloody intuition. Trust it.
Yeah.
Can I play the idiot here? It's one of my favorite roles.
I'm very well qualified too. Yes,
I do it well.
So well,
shockingly well. Is what you're saying, Terry, is the exercise that I would go back to my last relationship and list all the red flags that I saw but ignored, and then this is on about session 2. Then I go into the future and say, these are all the red flags I'd look for. And what you're telling me is, on a profit and loss account, on a sheet like this, in the left is what I did look for, and on the right is what I will look for. And you're saying that every time what I write in the right is going to be bigger.
Up to now, that's what's been happening.
Yep. I might try that.
Did you know that was going to happen before? Did you know? You shut up. Did you know that?
I had a feeling. What?
I got a feeling.
I've got a friggin' feeling.
Well, save yourself till after the course.
So you had an intuition yourself that if you got the client to do this exercise, that there would be a disparity between what they look for and what they will look for.
Yeah. And also, I knew that if rather than they come to a block, they come to a metal block, and you just think of the future, and it's just a fog. How am I going to trust myself? How can I trust myself with another person? How come but when they actually get it out on paper, right, and start thinking through, it's mental time travel. Going back to the first red flag, and and then other red flags. Some clients have done it without me asking them, actually, of use it like the love-hate exercise that we do. And come back to it over time. Oh yeah, there's another one, right? Yeah. So in the light of that, the old red flags, okay, what I'm going to look out for in the future, and there's been more in the future one than there has been in the past one.
Okay.
Which I think would tend to make sense.
It does make sense. Allow me to interject again. Different.
Shut up, Ted.
The what? Sorry, mate.
I won't shut up.
He won't. I mean, we can try.
I know, we've tried.
Because I'll go on.
I know, we know him.
But this is important for people listening who are considering coaching. And this is God's honest truth. I've never heard this exercise before.
No.
This is not part of my course. I didn't write that exercise. Terry wrote the exercise.
Am I going to get a P45 now?
This is when you register for coaching with Terry or Steve, you're actually you get the course that I wrote, but then you're also getting a coach who works with you step by step. And both Terry and Steve have over 20 years each of coaching experience. So this means that if they see an opportunity to put something in there that is either particularly individualized for you or that is just going to help, because they know where I'm trying to take a client. They can see what I'm doing and they can go, okay. To them, they can see it's transparent what my attempts are. I'll get you to do a bunch of weird exercises on the Break the Trauma Bond course. And to most people who are not trained, they think, well, this is weird. I don't really see how this is going to help. But they'll know straight away. So what Terry's done is he's riffed on the key principle, because the key principle of the course is an accounting. You have something on the left, you have something on the right, and you do it over and over again. And then your brain looks at that and goes, oh, shit, these things should be integrated. This thing should be the same thing. And it basically just permits a space for your brain to make that integration. The trick of this course, and I'm not qualified in neuroscience, any more than Terry or Steve are, but what I've read is that the problem with trauma is it's actually the integration of experience that is the issue. So your brain is going, this was awful, it doesn't match my story, bang, 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 and tries to just mash them together. And actually what's worked with people who are suffering from PTSD, if we assume that the trauma bond is a form of PTSD, and I believe that it is, it's actually a memory recall and experience integration issue. So the type of thing that Terry's talking about is, well, what that exercise covertly asks, cunningly, see, we can tell you the tricks that work, and they still work if you do them, is where were your boundaries? Where were they? Oh shit, yeah, I didn't show any. Okay, that's interesting. It's non-judgmental. It's just for you as the client to see it and go, damn,
they come to their own conclusions.
Yeah. It's not accusational. It's not judgmental. Yeah, that's good.
Go on, Steve. Sorry.
Well, no, you said like 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago. Terry used his intuition. Now, which I agree, but and then as you're talking about the way the coaching sort of works in this, we do have an intuition, I guess, as coaches about things that are not contained within the packaged program, but we just feel at that point in time would work well for the client. Boom. Yeah. So it is an intuition or an experience. So just this has worked before, or actually, now that I'm talking about that, is Terry didn't use, I think you said, Terry, it's not an exercise you've used before, but you just felt it would work, and so you give it a go, and you know how to manage that in the moment. So
yeah, this was early on in the trauma bond, when we first started doing them.
Yeah.
And the feedback I got off the client was, wow, that was really sort of, enlightening.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget as well, on the end of that list, as well, we're still doing that 4-step process.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, well, it worked for one. Let's see what happens with it. If it's appropriate, obviously, clearly.
Exactly.
For the people. Every time I've used it when it's appropriate, that's what's happened.
And that's it. It's when it's appropriate. And you know what? Yeah. You might not use that exercise with the next 3 clients, and you might use it with the 4th. But you might use something with the next client that you're not mentioning here today, but you just know it's appropriate at the time, don't you? Because of all the stuff you bring in. I mean, I think that's quite important to say, because otherwise you could sort of say to clients, well, just buy the DVDs. Just buy the DVDs, sit down, watch them. And you've been doing this for years, haven't you, Richard? You've got so many products out there already. Yeah. But of course, the coaching, we know now, it was your idea to sort of blend the two, and we know now it's working well. It makes people do the work for a start.
Yeah.
We've got to be careful we don't scare people off here, because we do give them work to do. But you remember, we've all got some knowledge and background in sort of martial arts and self-defense and that, but I'm sure you come across the Gift of Fear, a book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin De Becker. You come across that? Yeah. And, it's 20 years old now. Great book. And basically, without going into that book, he talks about how the victims of violent crime very often had an intuition about the crime taking place, some sort of pre-incident cue or something, and so all that really, I think, comes to my mind as we have our intuitions. We should treat them with respect.
Cool. So, we just want to make sure that everybody who's watching this on YouTube, when they go in the comment section, if they're going to try the exercise, that it's called Terry's red flag exercise, and that they know that that's your thing. So when it goes around the internet, it's Terry's red flag exercise. Do we all agree?
Terrific.
I'm really pissing around. I don't want to see this on some other fucker's YouTube video and they're going, guess what I thought of doing the other day? It's Terry's.
I don't want to see Brian's blue flag exercise.
Yeah, we don't want to see Brian's blue flag, because Ryan, don't make us come round, lads. You don't want that, do you, lads?
No.
Just, people can fall over.
Or Steve's cerise exercise.
Cerise exercise. So that's the kind of thing that I like, because it means the whole thing is moving in the direction which I've always wanted it to from the beginning. I want this to be organic. I want it to be open source and open format. So that even if clients come up with exercises, clients come up with ideas, and you can develop them together and then go, okay, I want that to be part of the course. I will make Terry's red flag exercise a part of the course. So that's what we're all doing.
Interestingly enough, one of my clients this morning has sent me, emotional literacy. Emotional literacy exercise. She sent me worksheets that she's made herself.
Oh yeah, about that.
And they're pretty good.
How about that? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's great, isn't it? Because clients take ownership. They get so involved. They take ownership and they refine. Oh, that's the other thing. I would encourage them, as long as I can give them the right boundaries, to refine any of these things.
Oh yeah.
Because I have a saying.
There are versions. It's like, you're buying these pair of shoes. We've made these pair of shoes. You wear them, and if you want to do something so they fit a bit better, fine, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a saying for my clients.
Oh yeah.
Feel free to misunderstand and create something totally different. In a way,
that's a good get out clause, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it covers everything, doesn't it? It doesn't explain an exercise properly. They mess it up, and he goes, as I always say, feel free to misunderstand. I love it.
Because come up with something exciting in you.
Yeah.
In a way that's beneficial.
So, Steve, I know that you also had something for people who are watching this. They've come to this YouTube video. It's called Dissolving the Trauma Bond.
Yeah.
And just want to take away something. Maybe even they want to do the exercise in the comment section and share it with each other, whatever they want to do. What would you offer people?
I'd offer I told Terry my one half an hour before we came on, and he's gone and bloody used it.
Teddy, how could you?
You know what? He just,
Okay. So I was again thinking of something that we add in, we throw in on occasion, because it just feels right for the client, and it's extracurricular. It's not part of the program pack and all the rest of it. But then trying to keep a little bit in, you can't go too wild and wacky. So trying to keep it in the general theme of how we're doing the work. Now, I don't know whether I think we did mention 5 minutes ago or something, the lists word. So people who haven't been on the program won't know probably what that is. But the core of a lot of the exercises are about writing stuff down, and writing it down in list format, and with some other instructions around it as well. So, and that's what does that integration. Okay, so one of the things that I like to bring in on this course and on other of the programs as well is if I feel as though the person is explaining to me something that as a consequence of the trauma bond is leaving them feel a little bit lacking in themselves, lacking in self-worth, lacking in self-certainty. And that's a thing that can happen when there's been some sort of trauma, hasn't it? You know, especially where we're talking about I'm conscious of now using the word trauma bond because it's making it sound like it's a big, real, horrible thing. Well, it's the label we've given it so we can work underneath the bonnet on it. But there we go. But if that trauma bond relationship has also involved somebody who's been good at psychological abuse, like a narcissist or a psychopath, then they will have brought in other techniques of their own to make you feel worthless, you know, maybe. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this little exercise is something you do every single time. No. If it just feels right and they're describing to me that they haven't got the confidence, they haven't got the self-worth, then the little extra piece of exercise I like them to do, and, you know, this is what people can do if they're sort of watching this, is just to take a bit of time, invest some time. And that's a message I always say, like, don't just listen to this and say, yeah, I get it, that would sound good. No, listen, we're investing time here. So it takes about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sit down, cup of coffee, pen and paper, and start doing a list of what I call your strengths inventory. See, we can all come up with big names. It's not mine. It's not mine.
It's Steve's strength inventory.
Comes from this book from years ago, but there you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Steve's strength inventory. Steve's strength system, because that's alliterative as well. Ooh. Steve's strength system.
Steve's strength system.
Sounds like Slavoj Žižek. What was the name of the book that you just showed us, Steve? Because you show it again. Because we always give credit to wherever we've got stuff from.
Well, yeah, this is actually a book. This was my Bible for years when I had a different type of job and I went into businesses and I helped their management teams to develop, what did he call them? Appraisal systems. Yeah. And we work on big organizations. It's called Strength Finders 2. And it's a good book for people who are looking to improve their career opportunities. It's not so much for what we're doing here, but the principle's the same, you know. And I guess the principle boils down to this. For some reason, we've talked about this, and there's a lot of research around, the human brain tends to gravitate towards the negative. If I ask people to write a list of the things they're not very good at, they wouldn't stop for 3 days. They wouldn't sleep. They'd just be writing stuff. I'm no good at this. I'm no good at that. You know, I'm making a cartoon, but you know what I mean. When you say to people, and I've got a little list of some questions, some prompts, which we can share if you like, and just say, what are you good at? What do you like doing? What successes have you had in your life? Even if that success was learning to ride a bike or getting your swimming diploma. I'm not looking for Hollywood spectacular, but we overlook these successes in our lives. We don't overlook our failures. Oh, you know, I've screwed up 4 times just in the last 10 minutes. Well, and look at Terry. 40 times.
At least.
You know what? Do you know what? Isn't jealousy a destructive emotion?
It's a terrible thing, Terence. It's a terrible thing.
What
envy.
Destroy Terry.
Steve,
what do you
go and talk to someone. Talk to someone, please. Please, now.
Anyway, Steve, give us the exercise that the people watching can use.
Just, right, strengths inventory, mate, just a strengths inventory. Sit down and write down, what am I good at? What do I like doing? What successes have I had? Oh, by the way, the other thing that will happen is your inner criticizer, because I don't call it the inner critic anymore. I think that's like dead important, an inner critic. Your inner criticizer will try and sneak in. And your inner criticizer, and you can usually tell when you're inner critic or inner criticizer, because the words yes, but will pop into your head. You know, you think, what am I good at? Isn't it weird that I've when I introduce this to people, there's always a pause. You're like, well, and it's like, I've got to really think hard what I'm good at. And yet that is what I'm trying to do is lift that, if nothing else, to bring a bit of balance to their life. To start to, and again, it comes back to a little bit of integration type work as well, doesn't it? You know, if we know what, and I hadn't done this, this isn't the way I do it. Would it work if we took the Terry approach and wrote, what am I crap at and what am I good at? No, I don't think it would. I wouldn't want to see. No, it's just an inventory of all the things you're good at. What I've found when people do it and they do struggle to get going, one difference from our other list exercises is I say keep the list running, keep adding things on the bottom, make that list grow come back to it every day, 5 or 10 minutes, maybe at the end of a day. It's, again, what I suppose is happening here is we're just starting to rebuild or re-engage those neural networks that know that we have got some good stuff going on. And, you know, once you excite those neural networks, they will start to form associations. You'll be driving your car, cleaning your teeth, having your lunch, and something will pop into your head. You know, you're cooking your tea, you're making a pizza or something. Actually, you know what? I'm all right at making pizza. I'm good at making pizza. Oh, I'll put that on the list later.
Have you found that
inventory?
Have any of your clients ever come back and said that they found things that they've forgotten about?
Oh, definitely. No, that was, sorry. And that was actually my train of thought. Sorry, thanks for bringing me back. That's what they say. They say, as the days go by and they add more things to it, they do realize that there's quite a lot of things. I've had some amazing ones. I mean, I had people say, oh, this is a struggle, this is a struggle. And then by the time the next session comes around, they're remembering, you know, some award they won at some prestigious event. So, what? Why wasn't that top of your mind? You might have a better idea than I do, Richard, but what, you know, we suppress these things or we just accept them as, yeah, it happened, but it's no big deal. But the minute you start talking about your screw-ups and your failures, they're really important to us. Do you know, what do you think?
I think when someone loses importance,
they lose importance.
No, they think it's not important. You know what I mean? Like a certificate that he got when they were younger.
Yeah.
You know, and then, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I've done it myself. I forgot I was a Reiki master. Yeah, until I did that. Oh, fuck yeah. And
the
you know
power,
soon as I remembered,
that you have in your hands, how could you forget?
And soon as I remembered, you know, I elevated 2 inches off the floor of my feet.
No.
Don't start giving Reiki people a hard time. Jesus. It's me that winds people up. Why are you joining in? I can take the flak, Terry.
See, I only just thought about it. Look.
No way. He's on one. He's on one. Well, I think, I suspect that there are social taboos around being self-congratulatory and praising yourself. And I suspect it may have even in other times of invited violence. Like if you stick your head above the parapet, or you're the person in the herd who strays from the herd, animal, you might get predated upon. Something might choose you. So there is. I'm in that vague bit of evolutionary psychology where we don't really know, but it seems to be something to do with the survival instinct. But it absolutely is an issue, and it possibly is the basis for a whole new course, which would just be reconditioning that thing so that you could just remember you are good at stuff. And when you're conversing with people, it doesn't need to be a list of self-deprecating failures. It could actually be the possibility where you could engage in a conversation and talk about the things that you've done well without fear of repercussion.
I like the way you presented that. You know, sometimes you will see somebody, maybe on a TV program or something, and they're being reminded of something they've done. And I'm always impressed when they're so gracious and just accepting. If it was me, I would say, oh, you know what? I cheated. You know, I try, again, self-deprecating because of those things. That's the other thing it's important to do, and I wish I'd have prepared better for this, but when you are thinking of that list, listen, nobody else, I never ask a client to share it with me. In fact, I tell them not to.
Yeah.
This is in the privacy of your own head. Nobody's going to judge you. You are showing off a little bit in your own head. That's all. And yeah, you can't go out and brag about it. Nobody likes a bragger and all that sort of thing. We know all of that. But it is about that bringing a little bit of balance back to, you know, to the way we always often criticize ourselves for things as well. But I guess it's one example, and I could have, you know, picked others, of how we just adapt the flow of the coaching and bring in other stuff that might be appropriate at that point in time as well. You know, it's one more example of it all, isn't it?
If somebody was going to have a go of that now, would they start with just maybe trying to list 5 things that they are actually good at?
I don't give them a number. I just say start listing. I think, you know, what are you good at? What do you like doing? What successes have you had? What talents do you have, even if you're not as good as other people are? That's the other instruction. Don't judge against. Do not judge yourself against other people. I might be good at making pizza, but I'm not making the best pizza in the world. But I'm okay at making good pizza. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So to contextualize this for people who self-identify as being stuck in a trauma bond. Yeah. For us, it's usually going to be people who've been in an emotionally abusive relationship over a period of time.
Yeah.
When you started doing this, what was it that you saw in the client that you were like, I need to balance this out. This is not good.
What I saw was their failure to recognize that they are actually worthy human beings, good people. That was it. That failure to have that accounting of themselves. I think that's
so they've been beaten down so badly by the emotional abuse and the trauma of the relationship that they couldn't even remember that there was a worthwhile human being sat where they were sat.
That's right. They
are not the abuse themselves. They rather than that, you take it on an identity level. They are not the abuse. They are different.
No. Yeah. And sometimes it would be quite explicit, and they'd say, I just don't feel able to make decisions anymore. It might be quite explicit like that. And sometimes it might not be as explicit, but the whole demeanor and the way the conversation's going is, I'm not sure. You know, listen, we just got to try and pick this up, haven't we? We just got to pick it up. But if we feel it's right, I think, well, look, actually, you know, there's a part of me that thinks this, if I ever use this is like, we got to fix something about your self-esteem before we can actually move on to other parts of the program. In some ways, sometimes.
So the reason I asked you that, sorry, Terry, 1 second. The reason I asked you that is because Terry's exercise kind of pointed to boundaries.
Yeah.
And your exercise kind of points towards a sense of self.
Yes.
Which kind of makes sense. We're talking about a course that is for people who've been run through, disintegrated by somebody, and we're trying to call them back to life and go, okay, do you remember before this relationship? No, there was nothing, only the relationship. You're going, hang on, you were a person before and you did do stuff. Bringing that back seems to be critical. You do have worth, and if you have boundaries, which is what the red flag exercise is, you are worth defending. You are worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for yourself, kind of thing. Sorry, Terry, go ahead.
You were going to say he's forgotten there, haven't you?
I did say you've forgotten. He's gone deaf as well.
Do you know what? I have as well.
You've not forgotten, have you?
Well, Terry, don't worry, mate. I'll fill the gap while you think of what you're going to say. Because actually, you know what?
It was to follow on what you.
I've started now, Terry. Before. I've started.
Well, and I'm interjecting. So.
Stop talking when Terry's interrupted.
And I'm phoning. I'm going to phone.
Terry, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Oh, it was something about.
Again. He's forgotten again.
He's fucking forgotten again.
What did you say? What did you finish off on, Steve? Because it was it was quite important.
You mentioned something a few minutes ago, and you know, just as we're having a conversational thing here about, oh, maybe there's a course in this, but actually, we should sit down and think about this because the sense of self, rebuilding your self-worth, self-esteem, and all the rest of it, I sort of feel now is like that's the middle, that's your core. And then they have the boundaries, and the two exercises almost go together. I'm trying to figure this out as I'm talking, so it's not really very good. But I think the two do. You get your core right, you get your boundaries right, you get good at assertiveness and defending them. That's probably how you rebuild a good human out of the wreck that you found yourself.
That was messy, Steve, but I liked it very, very much. I like stuff that's a bit messy. Always feels a bit more authentic. It's got legs. It always feels more authentic to me. When stuff is too polished and people just present it and go, here's the psychological solution to your problem, something in me just yells, fuck off. Can't be that slick. Nothing is that. Nothing to do with humans is that cut and dry. We kind of have to figure it out as we go.
And you certainly couldn't accuse us of being slick.
No, you certainly couldn't, Terry. That should be the new logo. Spartan Life Coaches. They're certainly not slick.
We make it up as they go along.
They basically admitted that they make up exercises. Can you believe this? Whereas we, in psychotherapy, we had it written on stone tablets by Freud's finger.
Wow.
And we know what boxes to tick, don't we, as psychotherapists?
We do.
Now, guys, come on, guys. Let's stop.
I'm enjoying this. I'm ready. I'm in. He had to go at Reiki. I want to have a go at psychotherapists. I was going to have a go at
a disclaimer. I'm not going to go at Reiki because I did do it. It was just, it was actually true. I forgot there was a Reiki master.
Yeah. Wowie.
I can see you filled with admiration there, Richard.
And then there was that time you were a clown in the circus, wasn't there? Remember that one?
Until you took it off me.
I bet you forgot.
You took the job off me.
So, on the continuing on the topic of having done things very, very well, I have had various bits and pieces of feedback from people about the course. There was a lady at the Sam Vaknin seminar. I don't know whether you caught it. She'd been to, when we were developing the course back last year, and we were running experiments with people and saying, how does this work? And there was a very bare bones version of the finished entity.
Yes.
And she'd actually come just for the experimental phase. And she was saying that inside of like a month or 2 months, I can't remember what she said, like 4 or 5 weeks, her life had totally turned around.
Yeah.
She said when she'd come to see us, she'd actually been sat there crying. And then inside of 6 weeks, she just broke all contact with the guy, had nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
6 weeks is not overnight. It's not like a magic pill. And it would have been hours of work, but I mean, she would still be stuck. It's now, I mean, that was back in November that she did that. Yeah. It's now late, where are we? We're in April. So she would still be stuck 4 months later if she hadn't done it. Yeah. The feedback that I've had from people that you've worked with has been very, very, very strong. The problem is with it is it's almost sort of like sharing it with people is difficult because it sounds too much because they're only doing four 1-hour sessions with you. So to people listening to it be like, that can't be right.
It's 4 1-hour sessions, but there's also hours of video and also hours of exercises.
That red flag exercise takes
days.
It puts you in a daze.
I'm in a daze now. So something Steve touched on earlier, and I should reiterate it again here. We're not saying that this is like a fast, easy. This isn't easy, is it? It's not a fast, easy option.
No.
We can't plug you in and delete your memories. Can't do that yet.
Actually, this raises a really sort of important point as far as I'm concerned, because I've come across this a couple of times where people do the course and they go, oh, it's worked. Oh, you know what? It's working. It's really, really feel great. And then they'll I maybe get a call from a couple of weeks later. Well, I'm not feeling too good now. Well, you're still doing what works. You know that thing that you did, but it worked. You're still doing it. No. Yeah. So on a number of occasions, go back to session 1, do the hand mnemonic. Oh, the hand mnemonic really, really works. And they start from square one again. You just forget to do.
Like going to the doctors and saying, I've stopped taking the medicine and I feel bad.
Yeah.
Wonder what's
the pills you I'm no longer taking are not working suddenly. Well,
do it ad nauseum until it becomes as habitual as the destructive sort habits.
Well, that is so critical a point, that the next course that I'm looking at developing, I'm going to insist that before you move on to new content, because obviously the brain loves new content, everybody loves a new course, you actually have to go back to the baseline. Stop emotional flashbacks. You got to do 1 week. You got to do like a flush a week. Stop emotional flashbacks 5 times a day as prescribed. Work on your emotional literacy. Do your state management. Do all the any exercises around supporting yourself and self-soothing exercises. And 7 days commitment. You need to sort of bring yourself to a good place before you even move into the course. To wit, there's some testimonials here that I just wanted to read out, so that people can hear the type of feedback that we've been getting. These are for Steve. I have the first names of people here. Am I allowed to say them out loud, or should I just say the
first names? Yeah.
First names is fine. Okay. Hi, Steve. I wanted to thank you so much for being my coach the last couple of months. Very seriously, I'm not quite sure how I would have managed to get through the past weeks without Spartan Life Coaching. Working with you in the program, I have grown and healed in ways I didn't imagine were possible. It gives me hope. We love a bit of hope. And now I'm confident. I have the tools to keep growing. The potential excites and inspires me. And that was from Stacey. What I really, really liked about that is that she said what I experienced. So she reflects my experience using the same exercises, which you grow and heal in ways that you can't imagine. Absolutely. Because you're kind of in a place where it's impossible to imagine healing, because the state of post-traumatic embitterment is so all-consuming. You just can't imagine a way out. Then when it does happen, it seems like otherworldly. With this particular client, was there anything, like, was it an exceptional session? Or was she just going through the course and going through the exercises normal?
You know, it's hard. It wasn't exceptional, if you like, but except every single one is, because they're all, even though we've got a standard set of videos and exercises, and then we add our own bit in, every single person presents totally differently in front of you. So yes, exceptional in that respect. What I, let's be honest. She was very open and receptive. Every now and again, there'd be little things that I could tell were crashing into her belief system. So we'd stop and we'd work, which is what humans are like. We have I'm not sure that would work for me type of thing. But she was very receptive, very open, very willing to give things a go, knew that success was going to be her success, not mine. I didn't inject her with anything or give it any time. Came all within her. She was okay with a bit of challenging. And again, you got to judge every client is going to be different. So we might say we challenge people, but the words we use with one client will be totally different. It's still a challenge, but you'd be different about it. But I like, you mentioned the word hope in there. That's a word that sort of is always in my thoughts when I'm with a client. I want them to get to a point where there's a chink of light, a little bit of hope, and we can pull that apart. And like you said, it's that phrase about, totally surprised, things she didn't expect to happen. It's a bit like the unknown unknowns, isn't it? If you knew that would happen, then you wouldn't need to do anything, but you don't. And you know what? Sometimes I've got to have a lot of respect for customers who come on, for clients who come on, because it's an act of faith. They're putting a lot of their trust in us. And I think, so what we've got to do is make sure that trust is well-founded, because I've never had, I don't think I've had it, but if the trust gets a bit wobbly, then you're starting to lose the rapport and all the rest of it. So they've got to put their trust in us, be totally open, do the work, like Terry was saying before, just keep doing the work. It's there for a purpose. And take the chink of light called hope and open it so you can see a future.
Yeah, that's awesome. The other testimonial I picked out is the following. I'm a little bit aware of time now, so I'm going to go through this a little bit rapidly. Steve, thank you very, very much for all your time and effort. I mostly appreciate your honesty, as not a lot of people have been able to point out my issues in a constructive way. I will never quit, and I hope we speak again someday. And that was from Chandra.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was saying to people recently about choosing a good coach is that you get honest feedback, and that includes negative feedback. Now, negative feedback obviously is tearing somebody down, but it's being able to say, hey, are you aware that this is happening right now?
Yeah. See, I like that one as well, you know, for, I guess, similar reasons, but I think Spartan Life Coach has a brand, which is the brand you've built. And people will often say, you know, when you come on and they're talking the first time, they'll say, how long you've been watching, what you like about it. You know, no bullshit, straight to the point, tells it like it is. And we're all the same, aren't we? We spent a long time, we've known each other a long time. We're all of that mentality, we're all of that mindset. Compassionate bullshit is, you know, no bullshit. Compassionate, challenging is what you've got to do. You've got to be honest with people. Listen, there's loads of things out there that are snake oil and all the rest of it. If we're not being honest, we're letting the client down, we're letting the brand down, we're letting our own integrity down. So you've got to find the right way of being honest with them, I think.
Yeah, I would think also if we weren't, well, I don't think, I know clients pick up on that.
Yeah.
You know, it's that intuitive thing.
Speak the truth, get the truth out there somewhere, get past any denial. The truth will set you free.
The truth does set you free. Terry, there's a couple of testimonials here that I particularly picked out that I received for you. This first one is from MH. The Trauma Bond course has changed my life. I've spent the good part of a decade trying to move on from that one person. I've watched videos, read books, been to therapy. All have been helpful, but none have been able to release me from the sadness and longing I've had inside and outside of this relationship. The Trauma Bond course and Spartan Life Coaches gave me the tools and guidance to make a new path in life. At 48 years old, I'm living the life I always imagined for myself and my children. If you do the work and do it consistently, I promise it is possible to live a better life, one with hope, joy, and gratitude. That's a belter of feedback, that.
Yeah, I sent him that one. That was mine.
Yeah. His name's Joy.
It's nice to see that word come up. It's nice to see that word actually being used, like we were saying with hope.
Yeah,
joy and hope.
Yeah.
It's good.
But as we were talking about before, you know, the vast majority of people who come to see us, no hope in their head. Yeah. No hope. Yeah, it's just dark, right? No way out. Yeah. We give them genuine hope by showing them that there is a way out. You know, and it's like shifting their thinking. That's all. It's that simple. You know, they don't. As Steve said before, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but all it takes is the right question in the right way, in the right exercise to make someone go, oh, and they jump up. It's sort of in NLP, you want to call it a logical level. They come to a higher level and go, oh, right, I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what? When they're stuck in, when all of us, it doesn't matter whatever stressful situation, we're stuck in it. We get focused on the problem, and so to have somebody else and say, well, why don't you open this door and see if there's an answer in this one, maybe. You know, so nice testimonial, that Terry, good one.
Yeah,
very nice.
Funnily enough, if I remember rightly, that's the person who asked me, you know, if I could give one piece of advice, you know, moving forward, what would it be about? You know, when to go into a relationship next time. And that was where intuition came up. We were talking about intuition, trust and intuition.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, again, a couple of days later, I can't remember what it was, listening to some lecture from someone, you know, one of these experts. That was one of the things they came up with. That was one of the things they offered as well. Begin to start trusting your intuition.
Yeah.
So moving into the...
sorry.
It's just where we are tight for time. Nobody ever accused us of being slick, and nobody ever accused us of not having anything to say.
Yeah.
We do like talking, don't we? We do like a bit of a fucking gap. The last testimonial.
A good old chinwag.
A good old chinwag. Exceptionally rewarding and powerful since it actually delivers. A real game changer, where unexpectedly, out of nowhere, there comes this massive shift. Priceless to say. Thank you from AS in Australia. The reason I picked that one is the unexpectedly out of nowhere element, which again is something that I found in my own experience, is you do the exercises and then all of a sudden you just don't feel the same way about the issue anymore. It changes the way you feel.
That's an interesting one, that, because AS, she's just sprung to mind now. She was not resistant. We'll say resistant, but it was more sort of, which I quite like actually. It wasn't sort of, oh yeah, what do we do? It was sort of, okay, so what is this? What are these exercises? What did he do? She was
show me.
Show me. Yeah. And it went from to wow, okay, wasn't
yeah, that's good.
She was great. She was lovely.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice. It's nice. I mean, we do have therapists and coaches and counselors watching this and following this. And from a professional point of view, it's nice to convert somebody from being like, I'm not sure about this, to fucking hell, what did you just do then? It's a good ego buzz, isn't it? It's a nice payoff.
Yeah. And you know what you're saying about, Terry mentioned something there. I mean, sometimes people are resistant heavily and sometimes not at all. But that little, let's call it resistance for the sake of argument, it gives us something to work on then, doesn't it? We can't fall into the trap of any sloppiness because it's like, all right, okay, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of push now. It gives us a little bit of spark and a little bit of fire in our belly to say, right, I need to find something that is going to, So I quite like that. Like you said.
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling when it happens. But there's also a degree of cynicism there as well, because again, I'm sure you've had it, Steve. Many of the people who come to us have already been through the counselling mill, the psychologist mill, and the psychoanalyst mill.
You make the bullets. Richard will fire them. Go on.
9 psychologists and therapists, and then over the years, and then I'm thinking of one in particular. For instance, And now it's such a shame.
It's good.
But you can understand the cynicism.
But I can totally understand where the cynicism is coming from. Absolutely. Listen, gents, we are out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. If you do want to get on the Break the Trauma Bond course, or if you want to get either Terry or Steve to help you with something, just head on over to SpartanLifeCoach.com, get yourself booked in for some coaching, and they will be able to help you directly. If you have any questions about the course at all, just go to their profiles, their emails are there, and they're happy to answer any questions you might have. If you want to have a chat with them first before you sign up for coaching, they can do that too. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your attention, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye for now.
Cheers.